Welcome to Saturday versus Sunday. I'm John Barbin, and I want to talk about the recent news that Joe Flacco was announced the starting quarterback for the Browns. And overall, this concept of older starting quarterbacks getting a third and fourth kick at the can, the way Russell Wilson is now also been announced the starter for the Giants, and Rodgers obviously going to the Steelers. So, and I wanted to focus on the feeling this gives the fans. So we all tune in to sports for what might happen, for the possibility of it, for like the hope of something to happen. We never tune in if we think it's predetermined and we already know what the answer is. And with these older QBs, I feel like there's a lot less hope, or it's just hopeless. And the feeling is predetermined. We already know how the season's going to go. And I just don't see how the fans of any of those teams can get excited for any of these guys being the starting quarterback. So in the Browns case, you've just announced Flacco as the starting QB, even though you have two young quarterbacks that I'm sure the fans are more excited for, Shador Sanders or Dillon Gabriel. So far, they've looked pretty good in preseason. I know it's just preseason, but that's where the hope is. The hope for the future is on the rookie QBs and on what they might become, not on the 40-year-old guy who you know exactly who he is. His Super Bowl days are way, way behind him. And the Browns management somehow is asking the fans to get behind the second go-around with this guy. And the last time he was there, yes, he led you to the playoffs. And then you guys got destroyed by, of all things, a rookie who represents hope in C.J. Stroud at the Texans. And Flacco threw 2 pick sixes. And the gap in the chasm between the trajectory of the Texans at the time and the trajectory of the Browns couldn't get any bigger. With the Texans, you have Stroud setting all kinds of rookie records. This guy is clearly not only the future of the Texans, but he's one of the QBs who's the future of the NFL. And with the Browns, you've got a guy who I think came out of retirement, and you guys get demolished in the playoffs. And now management is asking the Browns fans to kind of get excited about that all over again. And not to mention, in a conference where you've got Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson in your own division, as well as Josh Allen, C.J. Stroud, obviously, he's no pushover. He kicked your ass last time. And Patrick Mahomes. And the Browns management is somehow expecting the fans to get excited about Flacco. Now, I have a theory here as to why these old quarterbacks keep getting more rope here, like same with Cousins last year. I think it's because the coaches are closer in age to these QBs than they are the rookie QBs. And when they talk to them, it's like they're talking to a peer. They're talking to a grown man who probably has kids and feels life a little bit more the way the coach feels it versus the way Shador Sanders or Jackson Dart feels life, because they're at the very beginning of their careers. They're still kids in the eyes of the coach. I mean, those guys are probably closer in age to the coach's kids than guys like Flacco and Wilson are, to the age of the coach himself. So my guess is these coaches feel very comfortable with an older QB who speaks football at their level, at their language, with their wisdom, and they just view each other as peers. They're just both grown adult men, and the kids, it's just a little harder to relate, and it feels maybe more risky to hand the keys to a kid versus a known commodity. And all of these guys have won Super Bowls. Rodgers, Flacco, and Wilson have all won Super Bowls. So another thing that might feel easier for these coaches is handing the keys to a guy who's got a Super Bowl win on his resume and can walk into the locker room and just tell everyone, I'm your leader and you're going to listen to me because I've won a Super Bowl and you haven't. And all the rest of the players, there's not much they can say back to that. They're like, yeah, that guy's won a Super Bowl. We haven't. Like, of course we're going to follow this guy. Whereas if Shador Sanders or Dillon Gabriel or Jackson Dart has to walk into the locker room and say, I'm going to lead you there, it's hard because a lot of the guys on that team are also grown men who've been in the league a while. They make more money than you do. it's hard to immediately win them over and be the leader, and the quarterback has to be the leader. So I also think in these cases, these older QBs feel like the safe thing, feel like the known thing for the coach, and they've been around the block enough that it's easy for them to pick up the new offense, whatever team they've just gone to. It's easy for them to install it. It's easy for them to walk in and just be a leader. And I think a lot of that stuff's handled for the coach just by having a veteran QB, previous Super Bowl winner in the room. So you fast forward your way to ready to go day one. It's kind of easy that way. But I can't believe the Cleveland fans are excited at all that Flacco's the starter. My guess is Cleveland. If I was a Cleveland fan, I'd want to roll the dice with Sanders or Gabriel. Not Pickett. We've already seen Pickett can't do it. Roll the dice with Sanders or Gabriel, and let's just have fun. And if we crash and burn along the way, who cares? Because you gave me hope. You gave me a hope of something that might happen. Versus Flacco is we know what happens with Flacco. Even if you do make the playoffs, which is a long shot, given that you're in a division with Burrow and Jackson. So you're not winning the division. Your only way into the playoffs is a wild card. And the last time that happened, you've got destroyed by a rookie who gave his team hope. So I just can't believe management actually expects the fans to accept this as how this is going to go. Maybe the fans think it'll just be a couple of games and then Sanders or Gabriel's in. But as far as entertainment value and giving the fans hope again, hope for something different, the rookies have to go in. They just have to. Otherwise, I think you're doing your fans a disservice by putting the same old guy in that none of them want to see. And if we want to flip over to the Giants for a second, so that's why, Giants get the shirt, and I think I got the Browns and the Steelers here representing on the wall. Same thing with Russell Wilson. I'm sure the coaches find it very easy to talk to him. He's a previous Super Bowl winner. He obviously can install the offense quite easily, pick it up. He's a veteran. He's got all those characteristics. But do they actually think Giants fans are looking at Russell Wilson after he fell out of favor at a team he brought to the Super Bowl twice and won the Super Bowl with? Somehow they didn't want him anymore. Then the team he moves on to, who spent a boatload of money within 2 years, also don't want him anymore. And one of those years, it was a complete train wreck on the field. Then he gets shipped off to another team, and they didn't want him after a year. And now on his fourth team, so you're getting sloppy fourths, he's the answer? Does Giants management actually think that any Giants fan at all is looking at that saying, oh, this is it. The guy that 3 other teams didn't want, now we got him. Now we're going. No, there's just no way any Giants fan thinks that. He might win you 8, 9, 10 games, but that's it. Like, you're not winning that division either. Like, would you put Wilson and that team up against Daniels and the Commanders or Jalen Hurts and the Eagles? Hell, I'd probably take the Cowboys over them right now. So what does management actually think they're doing here as far as entertainment value for the fans? Again, it probably feels secure. It feels safe. It feels easy. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He speaks football at the level of the coach. The coach probably has a way easier time talking to Russell Wilson than Jackson Dart. But my guess is 100% of the fans would rather see Jackson Dart in there because he represents hope. Hope for something different. Hope for a future. And if you crash and burn with Dart, who cares? At least you took a shot. And if you could put anything on what the preseason looks like, Dart looks like he's capable. At least he doesn't look like a mess out there in preseason. It looks like there's something there. And my guess is Giants fans, if I was a Giants fan, forget Wilson. I want to see Dart day one. And I don't buy this bullshit that they need to sit behind somebody and develop, because then explain Jaden Daniels went straight to the NFC Championship game in his rookie year. Explain Brock Purdy went straight to the NFC Championship game and then went to the Super Bowl in his second year. Explain CJ Stroud, been to the playoffs twice in his first 2 years and kicked the crap out of some other team with like we just said, the Browns the first time and the Chargers the second time. So you don't need to sit behind and develop. Clearly, these guys can step right in and go really deep into the playoffs, as we've just seen with multiple players. So that's not it. It's I don't know what it is and why they're doing this, but as far as giving fans something to really hold on to, and hope, the concept of hope, the concept of possibility. I mean, that's why the thumbnail said hopeless. Because I think as soon as these fans saw that that's who they have, it just guts your hope for the season. It just takes it away. Like, I can't imagine. And then we can move on to the Steelers. They don't even have a younger guy. I mean, I doubt anyone thinks Will Howard in the 6th round is analogous to Jackson Dart or Shador Sanders or Dylan Gabriel. Like, maybe they think it's something like Gabriel. I don't know what anyone really thinks about the Sanders thing, but most analysts had him ranked much, much higher, a 1st or 2nd round grade. But I don't think Steelers fans picture the Will Howard pick as, oh, that's our Jackson Dart, that's our Shador Sanders. It's the Steelers. There's not even the hope option. It's always just been the old guy, and the old guy that you picked up at the 11th hour, halfway through the summer. And does the Steelers management actually think that getting Rodgers, this is it? This is the playoff run they're going on? They spent all their money on defense. They have the most expensive defense in the NFL, which we've just seen. That's not how you do it, because the teams that win the Super Bowl have the cheapest defenses, and they spend all their money on offense, like the Eagles. So, okay, so you're going to try to do it differently with defense, even though you haven't won a playoff game in 9 years, and now you think Rodgers is going to lead you where? You're going to win your division over Lamar Jackson, and likely you're not going to get past Cincinnati either with Burrow. So where are you going? You're going to get a wild card, I guess. But in the AFC, if you can get in on a wild card, you're going to have to go through some combination of Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, probably CJ Stroud, and potentially Joe Burrow, and potentially Justin Herbert. Some combination of those players, and maybe even Bo Nix. All of those teams can have proven they can make the playoffs. And if somehow the Steelers get in this year, those are the type of QBs they're going to have to go through in the playoffs. Would you bet on Rodgers and the Steelers against the Bills and Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens? I wouldn't bet on them against CJ Stroud and the Texans either. So I just can't imagine management actually thinks the Steelers fans should accept this, and that Rodgers, after now moving on to his 3rd team, now Rodgers is the answer. But again, with Mike Tomlin and the coaching staff, Rodgers is closer in age to the coaches than whatever the rookie kid will be. Well, if there even was one. So it just feels comfortable. But they don't even have the other guy. So the Steelers one's even more odd to me, because there's not even the other kid on the roster right now that they bothered to draft that represents the hope. Now, I guess you could make the argument that's Will Howard, but you don't wait till the 6th round to just pick up one guy. And, if they were serious about drafting a quarterback, they would have used a higher pick on somebody. Or they just didn't think there was any talent in this draft, and it's just a calculated decision. And this is just a placeholder QB for this year and maybe next year. I think he's only on a 1-year deal anyways. So that's another thing that doesn't inspire a whole lot of hope with the Steelers fans, knowing that what is he, just a 1-year rental? And do they really think dumping all the money on the defense the way they did and picking up Rodgers, and now Hayward's holding out for more money, like at 36 years old, do they think this is the formula to win the Super Bowl, or to what? Just give the fans another relatively middle of the road competitive season and make the 1st round of the playoffs, and then just exit the playoffs? Like, it's almost insulting to the fans to expect, of all 3 of these teams, to expect the fans to accept these old QBs in the twilight of their career as something other than just a placeholder until the future. And on 2 of the teams, you could argue the future's right there already on the team. With the Giants, it's Dart, and with the Browns, most people would imagine it's Shador Sanders, but Gabriel looked really good in his start too. And you really actually don't know what you have with any of the 3 of them, Sanders, Gabriel, or Dart, until they get in a real regular season game with true live bullets and not preseason bullets. And then you get to see what you have. But let's do that. Let's have fun on the way, because I don't understand the point of having a bridge quarterback where you might just win 9 or 10 games, maybe make the playoffs. Well, you might just win 7 or 8 games with one of these rookies, but you might win 12 games, like with Jaden Daniels. You don't actually know what you have until you let him go and put him on the field, and let's see it now. And the NFL is an entertainment product. The only reason it makes all this money is because it's on TV. So let's entertain the fans. Now, part of this is just me selfishly wanting to see the young guys. I'm just sick of these old guys just being recycled and recycled. Enough already with the old guard. Let's go with the new guard here. So some of this rant is just me lamenting that we have to spend another year with the old guard. This happened with Cousins and the Falcons. I was chomping at the bit for Penix all year. Cousins just couldn't do it. He obviously got hurt. I mean, the documentary revealed that it was partly a leg injury and partly a elbow shoulder injury. And then he just fell apart. He went games and games without throwing a touchdown and just throwing picks. Then Penix comes in the last 3 games, and he looks like the future. And it irritated me that we wasted 13 games until we got to see him, or whatever it was. And he could have been developing all year. And as soon as he stepped in, he looked poised. He looked confident. He was controlling an NFL game like he'd been a seasoned veteran. And I doubt that the 13 games he sat there had any help with that. He could have looked that good earlier in the season. So we just lost a year of being entertained with Michael Penix. So again, from a purely entertainment standpoint, these 3 teams, the Browns, the Steelers, and the Giants, to me are a lot less entertaining when the old guy's in there versus the young guy that represents hope. And even the Steelers, I'd rather see Will Howard. He just won the national championship. Let's just see what he's got. Once in a while, it hits. Brock Purdy hit. He was the last pick in the draft. He went straight to the Super Bowl. After seeing that, you could make the argument, so could Will Howard. Because nobody expected it from Purdy. Nobody expects it from Howard. So, I don't know. I'm always biased towards the younger players. I want to see the new guard. I'm sick of the old guard. It kills my hope and my interest in watching these teams. And I do it partly because I'm just a fan of football and partly because I'm watching the game so I can talk about it on the show here. And I just want to see what the future holds. I don't want to see the past. And these 3 quarterbacks, to me, represent the past. They don't represent the future. And when they roll them out, it gives me a hopeless feeling. So I don't know, Giants fans, Steelers fans, Browns fans, is this the same feeling you're having? Or do any of you actually think these are the answer this year and it is the right move? I don't know. It just, for me, it makes 2025 a lot less interesting for these 3 teams for me watching them. I'm still going to watch, but I really wish the younger kids were in. All right, well, that's all I got on that topic. Let me know what you think in the comments. So that's your Saturday versus Sunday podcast.